Was that, yeah. Nuclear, yeah. I mean, that to me, that's one of the standout tracks on the album.
That's
so it's quite, it's
That song used to be called Nuclear, which I really liked, and that's the first song I heard, which made me know that they really were serious with a new sort of. I thought it was so clearly of a direction of getting the meaning of their music across. And some people might say that could be construed.
I prefer the name Nuclear. Actually.
Yeah, well, Nuclear's a better name. I mean, but when they rise, I totally respect the fact the band know what they're doing. You know, as we both do. But that's the first time I knew that they were on a new sort of.
I think what they were worried about, what some people were worried about, was that it might be a bit too poppy, and I think they first and foremost think of their lineage and maybe their concept for what they're trying to get across in their music, and it was just one that they hadn't totally signed off as being a finished song, but it turned out.
And to their credit, they were really open-minded. They really knew that. Okay, we've got these chords, it could go like this, and that was a question of sort of sculpting it into a sort of, I was going to say accessible pop song. In a way, I think that's why they work with us, is because we have worked on that kind of project, and even though I was in an indie band or whatever, I think I'm definitely on the poppy side of, say, I don't know, Exit Calm's first record, which was really an ambient shoegaze indie. I mean, I lived that record. I was there. You know, one of my best friends mixed it. You know, but I think they, in a nutshell, I think they wanted to get a really direct message across. And Nuclear did it really well, and that's the first. When They Rise, it's called now.
Also a good name.
Yeah.
It's a shame we haven't got that one up on the thing actually,
but. It's in here somewhere. Actually.
Yeah.
What? So I'm just thinking, so that, yeah, I mean, there's so many aspects to Exit Calm sound. I mean, Rob, I think if you were to pick one thing, well, actually saying that's not true, because I mean, Nicky's vocals is, but Rob is obviously very good at what he does.
Yeah, I'd say he's a guitarist of his generation without any problem. He really is something special. Rob, for example, lots of people think there's loads of overdubs on the record. There's hardly any. Like, I read a review recently that said like 90 guitars. That's one Rob, that is. You know, he really doesn't fuck around, and if he doesn't feel it, you do it again. And he is a perfectionist, not to the point of destruction, but he really is someone who lives, feels, breathes, and gets it damn right. He really does, and I think. To get that vast, expansive sound out of one man, and I'm a guitarist. You know, there's tons of guitar crap everywhere in the studio. I was like, I asked him so many times how, you know, just run that signal flow one more time because he's got all this stuff good. Because we're miking it up or whatever, but he's doing the stuff. I think your point was that they've got like elements of the group which are really individual. I think all four of them together have this sort of strength. Like Simon's got this beautiful sort of dubby sort of bass sound, which is really unique. Nicky's got one of the strongest rock vocals in history. You really can put Nicky in that sort of territory. And then you've got Scott, who is humble but just gets job done, in his words. And then if you put it all together, you've just got such an explosion. And with songs, great songs we've done on this record, and hopefully that encapsulation of all that together makes a record which could do what. I mean, when we were making the record, I wanted them to sort of do a clumsy analogy is urban hymns. I wanted to have that sort of crossover. I felt like it could do that, but a more apt analogy would probably be something like, I don't know, Pixies, an underground band who, not stylistically, but who can get it across. I think that's how maybe the end result came out, but I certainly wanted it. Or Stone Roses, the way that they wrote an indie record and it blew up. I just think Exit Calm know that they can do that, and it's not about being a pop band, and it's about writing music which you think needs to be heard, and that's really exciting if you're part of that. It's not to do with selling records or having money, although that's necessary too. We all have things to pay for. They are on a mission, and I really know it from hanging out with them for a few weeks, where they do or die, and it was really contagious, that sort of, you know, there's no quarter given, you know, they are real deal, really, quite frightening.
What is it hard to manage that? I mean, I speak as a TV producer. I mean, it's obviously a bit different. I've got to take all the elements and put it into a program. I mean, imagine you're doing a similar thing.
They are all very individualistic, so there were some moments of slight tension at times, but at the same time, thank God they're all very self-assured, because, you know, they're all great musicians and they can just do their parts and get it down. And with a time constraint, that's what you need as well, logistically. But I mean, Rob, for example, the guitar player, Rob, he'd just do a couple of takes, and, you know, there wasn't a lot of editing involved, even though the playing style is very, you know, it really evolves and it's very expressive, and it could go a lot of different directions, and sometimes there'll be a couple of tracks going at once, but there's not a lot of editing involved. He's just, you know, he's kind of more listening to the sounds. He knows that he's going to play the right thing, and he'll come up and listen to it more to make sure we capture the sound in the proper way, which is quite an interesting way, because a lot of times when you work with the guitarist, they're listening to the performance.
He's his own sort of hardest sort of taskmaster, isn't he?
But he just knows he's going to.
Talking about the record, though, the honest answer is it was emotionally fraught. It really was. There was. I would say there was tears, there was booze, there was aggression, anger, euphoria.
Usually all at the same time.
I mean, it really was hard, but I would like to say, above all, that they're really polite guys, and I really respect that. You know, at the end of it, everyone's sort of just like, we just want it to be right, and that's what they would say. But it was hard, and it should be hard. I mean, each of them gave each one their own time, and I just know that they wanted to do their best, and it was like crying blood doing it. I just can't put it into words, and I wanted to respect the fact that this was, you know, for example, Rob, I just know he was going to make a great record, and whatever happens to this record, whatever, you know, I just know that they really did need to do something that was cathartic, and I've never been involved in such a serious sort of thing, really, where people were ready to you know, I can't explain the arguments that happened on these two couches here. You know, I mean, it was just like Guinness fueled, probably.
I wouldn't want to.
Not arguments, though. That's the wrong word. It was more like want to get emotion across, and this is what we're about, and to be understood. And I think that's what all human beings want, isn't it? In the end, some sort of understanding.
You say it was again. You just meant. I mean, Si mentioned to me last night. Ask them.